Hey, what's up? My name's Doink, Double Doink on Twitter and wherever else. Um, Been around the Rocket League scene for a fairly long time, but honestly, just had some free time. It was like, it would be kind of fun, I think, for me to put something together and do some predictions. I do it in my head or, by myself. Um, Anyhow, so I just thought it'd be fun to take a recording of it and upload it and just kind of throw it out there. So um, this is predictions for RLCS 2025 NA Open 1 for the Birmingham Major coming up in March. Um, Really interesting Swiss this last weekend coming into this main event. So we've got our 16 teams that came out of that Swiss, but the way in which we came out of the Swiss was probably not what we expected. You see me glancing over here at one particular quadrant that's pretty spicy. One of those teams will go out 13th through 16th, the way that this bracket is set up. So if you're not familiar, RLCS 2025 is a slightly different format. We have two groups in a double elimination bracket, and those teams are trying to make it to the top 8. So Friday we'll go from 16 teams to 8, and then Saturday and Sunday will be the top 8 all the way through Championship Sunday. Um, because of that quadrant in Group A, I actually don't want to start there for these predictions. I want to start with Group B, which I also think is incredibly interesting. So first off, Ultimates, that's the LJ Chronic First Killer team versus Tech, RIP Talk Tua, that is Calm, Evo, and Talk. I think people, including myself, were probably a little bit higher on Tech coming into the Swiss, and probably have fallen off just a little bit. They did go 3-2 in that top 32 Swiss, did Tech, and just kind of scraping it out. Something about a start GG bug and drop into the lower bracket early. All that's in the past. They're in the top 16 now, but I don't have them taking it over Ultimates. I think Ultimates might be the team in NA that is looking the best right now. That LJ Chronic First Killer team looks really good. I'm going to have them taking this one in a sweep. Dropping on down to Rebellion and Pirates on a Boat. So Rebellion, that's the same squad from last year. Parth, Two Piece, and Justin. Pirates, that is a new Pirates squad. Most of the old TSM squad, so Creams and Hockey plus 5-up in place of Wavy. God, I do not like this Rebellion team. I want to like this Rebellion team so bad. But man, I watched their Swiss on Sunday, and holy cow, am I amazed that they came out 3-1. This team does not play defense. This team does not play defense. Fortunately for them, I don't think Pirates have the offense to take full advantage of Rebellion, because Rebellion's offense is unreal. This team on offense is terrifying, and I do not think Pirates can keep up. I think they're going to get into a shootout in this one, and I would predict this as a 3-1. I really like 5-up. I want to see 5-up get on one of these top teams, man, of which you could argue Pirates is up there. But man, I really like what I saw from 5-up last year on Pirates, but right here, not going to get it done against Rebellion. Complexity back in NA and rocking the retro logo for now. That's the CRR, Raise Bull, and Diaz team. I think this team probably got a little bit overrated in the offseason just because of the insane run that Diaz has been on in NA1s for almost a year at this point. I do think it has people who didn't watch them in SAM last year, understandably, probably overrating them just a little bit, but I do think this team is really, really good. CRR is coming into the season looking incredible, and Raise Bull is him on land. Like, come on. So this team going up against Almost Nuts, that's Skippy, Repeat, and T-Carell. I like the Skippy Repeat duo. I think that's an interesting duo. I'm happy to see Repeat back in a main event. He had a brief little breakout last year on Boulevard, but I'm happy to see him back here with Skippy. I think this Almost Nuts team is interesting. I don't think that it's going to mean much against Complexity. I'm going to take a 3-0 there. And 9 Lives, the team that coming into this open, into the bracket, I saw a couple tier list videos and being like, who the heck is 9 Lives? because I think over the most of the offseason, people were just referring to them by their initials. This is the Chicago Hoxer Kofer team versus Team Evo, which is Speed, Relating Wave, and Arju. Interesting EU team over here for CRL and teaming up for RLCS. They went pretty cleanly in the Swiss up to a point, and then Team Evo nearly got reverse swept out of the Swiss. So they were in that top round and nearly made it out. They got a matchup here against 9 Lives. I think this 9 Lives team is solid. I wouldn't pick them to be, top 3 in NA, but they are right in that mix for kind of that, honestly, kind of wide open 3 through 7 or 8 spot in NA. And I would expect them to be right in there with all of those teams. I do think that they take it against Team Evo, but this Team Evo team, I think NA team's got to pay attention to these EU import teams that are coming over here. Both Evo, Strictly Business, and what I'm going to be calling sausage stand, even though that's incredibly difficult to say because that's what that is in German, and I do not know how to pronounce the German word. With that, I take a 3-2 for 9 Lives, and I would say that they move on here in this bracket. That means our semifinal matchups, we have Ultimates and Rebellion. This matchup happened in the Swiss. It was a really close series. Again, this Rebellion team did not play defense. If you want to see one of the funniest caster curse clips of all time, check my Twitter. CJ. I think the quote exactly was, "We're playing well, we're idiots on defense," and immediately 2-piece backflips for no reason in the midfield, and it just rolls into the net. It was one of the best caster curses I've ever seen. But this Ultimates Rebellion, I do think Ultimates still take it, but I do think this is a tough matchup for them, especially as they're finding their synergy as a team. I think that new teams are going to struggle against Rebellion. I think what we see a lot of times is that new teams tend to struggle a little bit more on the defensive end than the offensive end, as they're kind of figuring out that synergy, exactly what their roles and rotations are going to be. And I think that that's kind of what Ultimates were running into in the Swiss against Rebellion. I do think that's going to mean this is a 3-2, a close series, but I do think Ultimates take it again. And then our second semifinal matchup, Complexity versus 9 Lives. Complexity, man, I think that they do take it against 9 Lives. I'm not really, while I think 9 Lives are an incredibly solid team, I'm not really scared of anybody on that team. I think they're going to be incredibly solid. I think they're basically a lock for top 8 every single time, and then it's going to kind of come down to what matchups 9 Lives gets in that top 8 to top 6 to top 4 match. If they can get some decent matchups for them that are relatively even, I think that they will win them. This I don't think is one of those. I would have Complexity here in a 3-1. And then this upper bracket final match. Now the interesting part about the way that this hybrid bracket system works out this year is that these upper bracket finals, as well as these lower bracket finals, are purely for seeding purposes. So it's really tough to put a lot on these series. If I scroll down to this kind of hybrid down here, you can see that both of these teams, 1 and 2, will be in the upper bracket with that extra life there. So they can lose once in this hybrid bracket setup. However, again, really tough to say, okay, which is better, depends on the results of the other groups, etc. So these matches I think are interesting, but ultimately not for a whole lot. In this case, I do think Ultimates take it over Complexity. I think these teams are built semi-similarly, actually, and I just think Ultimates are the better team, to be honest. I think Complexity, again, they'll be just fine in the bracket. I would actually probably pick them against perhaps whoever's coming out here from Group A, although they would be playing the 1 seed there, which is likely to be one of these 4. So we'll see how those shake out. But I would still pick them to go fairly far in the bracket. I would pick them to be top 4, but I don't think they take it over Ultimates. Coming over to Group A. Group A, now this quadrant is insane. This top quadrant up here with Gen G, NRG, Strictly Business, and Space Station is insane. It's going to be the talk of the tournament. is how we got here. The reason we got here is because NRG went 2-3 in the Swiss. Yikes. Yikes. Saw Sathio on Twitter talking about, it's on him for not having the team prepared. It is what it is. They're still in. They're still in. We saw Vitality lose a series in the Swiss. No, it wasn't 2, but they lost 1. And they were just fine when it came to the main event. So we'll see how Energy does this weekend, but not really how you'd love to start your season, to be honest. How you would love to start your season is 3-0 in the top 32 Swiss, which Gen G did. And their reward for it is they get NRG. So, yikes. This Gen G team, of course, is the old Luminosity team from last year and RMC from over the offseason. That's the Reynolds Magic Bear Cheese team. I personally am a fan of this team. I just like watching them. Love the watch parties from Spaceman and Corelli. I think they're a blast. NRG is last year's G2, so that's Beast Mode, Daniel, Atomic, and Sathia. Also Raw Greg on the Gen G side, and Kevpert is an analyst. So these teams matching up in the upper quarterfinals. I honestly think that NRG is going to come out not mad, but frustrated. Frustrated that they lost. And I think that they will outclass this Gen G team. I actually think this Gen G team has progressed in the offseason. I like them better than I did at the end of last season. But NRG, man, is something else, especially if they're clicking again on Friday, which I believe they will be. Coming down to the second match, we got Strictly Business against Space Station. Strictly Business, this is another EU team. This is a team of Ixo, Crispy, and CMOS. Coming over from Europe. I really like this team. I think this team is scary for a lot of NA teams. A lot of these NA teams that are in that kind of like 4 to 7 range that are there because they can peak on a given day, but they're maybe a little bit less consistent. I think Strictly Business eats those teams for breakfast. I think they are consistent, they're disciplined, they're going to do things that some of these NA teams this early in the season aren't expecting. I do think they'll decline because of that kind of throughout the season, but I would predict this first Open to be their best result. Potentially all season, we'll see how it goes for them, but I do think there is kind of a surprise factor and a lack of familiarity that is working in their favor right now. They also were in that 2-0 round in the top 32 Swiss. They did lose one, but they went through on the next to go 3-1 in that Swiss. They're playing Space Station. This is Frosty, Scribbles, and Reveal, last year's Snowmen. Personally, I really like this Space Station team. I really want this team to work, and I think it will. I think it will work. I didn't love what I saw from them in the Swiss. It was a little bit shaky at times, and they did lose to Strictly Business. They did beat Team Evo later on, so they beat the other one of the other European teams, but they did lose this one to Strictly Business, and man, while I was watching that series, it just seemed like they were a little shocked or surprised at the lack of space that they were getting from Strictly Business. That being said, I do think that this team can turn it around against this team especially. And I think the more times, again, that people play Strictly Business, the better that they will get against them. In this case, I actually would have this as a close series, but I'm going to take Space Station and... Oh no. Oops. I'm going to take Space Station in a close Game 5 against Strictly Business. Dropping down to Omelette versus Gas. Omelette, this is last year's Cloud9. This is Lion Blaze, Percy Zanil. Gas is Garrett, AJ, and Squishy. This Omelette team should beat Gas. They should. This is a rock-solid NA team. They shouldn't lose to anyone below them. And last year, they mostly didn't. So I'm going to take them over Gas here. And then we have Deleted versus Sausage Stand. Deleted is Wavy, Andy, and Gyro this year. And then Wurzelstand, Sausage Stand, gosh, I should not be attempting to pronounce German words, is a 2/3 CRL team plus Hazo. So that is Sai, Jazzy, and then Hazo. Sai and Jazzy, of course, both being from Germany, over here for CRL, and then Hazo, who's been around the bubble scene for quite a while at this point. remember him from the G Buffo in the offseason. That being said, in this matchup, Deleted did beat NRG in the Swiss this last weekend. I do like this Deleted team. I think that Gyro still has it when he has his days. Gyro is crazy. Andy is rock solid, and Wavy is a complete wild card. I really would like Wavy to be one of those players that you can really build a team around. And it seems like he's 80% of the way there, right? He's got it. He feels like he's got it. But it seems just a little bit inconsistent right now. That being said, I do like this Deleted team in a really close series against Sausage Stand. I'm going to take them 3-2. That leaves upper bracket. We got NRG and Space Station. NRG should be winning this. I think that NRG likes this Space Station matchup, if I had to guess. I think that Space Station is an incredibly fast mechanical team. They play well off of each other, but they play well off of each other playing off of those really, really high level mechanics. So I actually have NRG over here. I think that NRG are comfortable against that kind of play style. And I think that they still outclass Space Station just in consistency of those high level mechanics. Then we have Omelette Deleted. This is an interesting match for essentially guaranteed top 6. Gosh, that's insane. This is a really close match. I like both of these teams. I think they're really evenly matched here. That being said, I would have to go with Omelette. I think Deleted played well in the Swiss, but I just don't trust him to do it again quite yet. I really don't. So that means their upper bracket final up here is NRG and Omelette. And that NRG should be winning that. I'm going to say 3-1. I think NRG take that and get that Group A 1 seed. All right, dropping down to the bottom half of Group A. And then we'll do the bottom half of Group B and then roll through the rest of the bracket. This one we're going to fill out fairly quickly. Gen G, Strictly Business. I think this is a really interesting matchup. I think that both these teams really like to play the physical game and are really opportunistic in the way that they look for those bumps and demos. That being said, I kind of trust Strictly Business to get more value from those upfield plays than I do Gen G, at least right now. I want to see it from Gen G, and I think that this is really, really unfortunate, but I do think that they go out dead last, and I think Strictly Business take this one in a Game 5. Yeah. We start the season with Gen G going 3-0 in top 32 Swiss, and then going out 16th in the main event. Insane. Gas versus Sausage Stand. Garrett, AJ, and Squishy should not be winning this. Let's be honest. Jazzy is good. I've watched him in CRL. I've watched him in the 32-team Swiss. Sai, also very good. Hazo, you cannot forget about Hazo. You can't just leave him. And I don't think that this Gas team will. But I was watching their qualification as well, and a little bit shaky at times. Little off and on. Makes sense for a team that's not scrimming, but I like Sausage Stand in this one. I'm going to take them 3-1. Which means we've got Deleted versus Strictly Business, and Space Station versus Sausage Stand. Deleted, I like this team. I don't like them against Strictly Business. I think that this team is rock solid. CMOS has been playing insane. He played ridiculous in the top 32 Swiss. He was everywhere. He was shutting things down. He was pre-jumping. He was hitting sidewall doubles for passes to mid to his teammates. The guy was just everywhere. Ixo is still Ixo. He's still a solid RLCS player. And Crispy is no joke. He's unreal in CRL. He's very good. This Deleted team, I really like them. If Wavy and Gyro both come to play, they could get this done against Strictly Business. Andy too. Andy on his day is an incredibly mechanical and talented player. He's also rock solid. But in this case, I don't think the deleted are going to come out particularly well. They've already gone 5 in this case with a sausage stand team that I think is markedly worse than the strictly business team. I would have them losing this one in 4. Then we have Space Station versus Sausage Stand. This one, again, I would take Space Station here. I think that they're quite simply going to outclass that Sausage Stand team just in terms of mechanics. I think they'll be able to overwhelm them, whereas that might be a little bit more difficult with a strictly business team that has been really solid on defense. So this seeding match between strictly business and Space Station, again, just for seeding in that lower round 1, I would take strictly business here again to repeat that 3-2 against Space Station. Coming over to Group B, I'm going to fill out the last of this lower bracket. Tech versus Pirates. I'm really high on Talk coming into this season, kind of in a similar way to how I am on 5-Up. He's really good. He's raw. He's a raw talent. He's a rookie. But man, efficient is one of the words that I would use to describe Talk's play from what I've seen over the offseason. Just making the right play to beat defenders and give his teammates open chances, if not creating them or scoring them himself. I really like this Tech team. I didn't love what I saw from them in Swiss, but kind of similar to NRG. I think they're going to grow into this in the main event, and I would have them over Pirates in a 3-1. Then we have Almost Nuts versus Team Evo. This is the Skippy repeat team versus Speed, Relating Wave, and Arju. I think Speed, Relating Wave, and Arju beats this team. I just do. I think that this one isn't particularly close. I think this Almost Nuts team kind of squeaked in here. I do like Skippy. I like Skippy's play style quite a bit. I like watching it. And I think Repeat is pretty underrated in terms of upcoming NA talents. But I do have Team Evo there taking that one. So we have 9 lives in Tech. This is the Chicago Hawks or Kofor versus Comtalk Evo. Man, I think that this 9 lives team is basically going to be able to win this series by just waiting for Tech to beat themselves. Now, will they do that? No. But I think they could. And because of that, I would have this 9 lives team over Tech. I think it's close, but I would take them in a 3-2. Rebellion versus Team Evo. Rebellion should beat this team. They should. If they play any defense, they should beat this team. I think they will play a little bit of defense, and I would have them in a 3-2 in that series. That means that our seeding match here is 9 lives versus Rebellion. I actually like Rebellion in this matchup. I think they can overwhelm 9 lives on offense, probably more so than 9 lives can keep up with their own offense. I think that 9 lives offense from the matches that I've seen this team plays so far, the Swiss and before that, their offense is heavily reliant on Kofor. If Kofor is not creating, this team is going to struggle to create real convincing offensive chances. And I think that's a lot of pressure to put on someone who has always kind of been around that kind of bubble region of NA, but hasn't really broken through to that like consistent top 8, etc. quite yet. I think he will do that this year with 9 lives, but I don't think this is the match where he gets that done, and I would take Rebellion in a 3-1. So that means our bracket now, running into Saturday and Sunday, looks like this. We'll start here. We'll do this in relatively the order that they've been broadcasting, at least on the EU side. So we'll start down here with the Rebellion Space Station matchup in lower round 1. This is for top 6. If you want to go to LAN, again, remember, we only have 4 major spots for North America, meaning you got to average out top 4 to go to LAN in Birmingham. So going out top 8 is a big deal, right? So you can see the points over on the right-hand side here. See 7th, 8th, 3 points, 3rd, 4th, 7 points. So 4-point difference. You can't make that up. You could make it up with a 5th, 6th, 2 5th, 6th, and some bad results from the teams ahead of you. But you really need to be averaging top 4 which is why starting in this upper quarterfinals is such an advantage, because you've got that past the top 6 already, and if you win that, you're in top 4. So in this matchup, Rebellion Space Station, I think both of these teams play a lot of offense and aren't awesome on defense. Some might even say poor on defense at this level. Of course, everything is relative at this level. All these teams are good. We're in top 8 of NA. All of these teams are good. But relatively, I don't trust the defense of either of these teams in a matchup in top 8. But I probably trust Rebellion's defense less. And I think that Space Station, at this point in the tournament, having kind of grown into it for a day, I think that this team gets better as the tournament goes on. I think they start using space better. I think they start processing the play better. And I would actually take Space Station here in a 4-2. Then we have Strictly Business at 9 lives. This is what I'm talking about. For 9 lives and Strictly Business for that matter. If you can get one of these matchups where you kind of avoid the other teams that are really fighting for that top 4 spot, in this case Space Station and Rebellion, you kind of avoid those teams. Now you lose the opportunity to knock them out yourself, but this is a very winnable matchup for both teams in my opinion. I think this matchup is really close. I do think that early in the season here, again I said early in the season I think Strictly Business will have an edge on other teams coming in who aren't as familiar with them, haven't played them as much. I do think that doesn't quite make up the difference between how I would view them versus the Chicago Hawks or Gopher team. I think this team is equally solid, and I think that it'll be a little bit trickier for Business to kind of make the space that I've seen them make in this top 32 Swiss against a lot of these other top 16 teams, where they were able to kind of catch them out or get touches that they weren't necessarily expecting, be in spots that they weren't necessarily expecting. I think that kind of stops here, but I do think it's close. I think this is a 4-3 in favor of, I'm sorry, I did that backwards, in favor of 9 lives. I do think Strictly Business's run ends here. But a top 8 for this team, that's a solid result. Moving on to the upper quarterfinals, we have NRG Complexity. Man, I want to do this one first because I think that this one is an easy 4-0. I think that Ultimates just will annihilate Omelette. I think that Omelette, they are a team that will beat everybody below them, and you are never scared of them beating somebody above them. They had one small scare last season, late in the season, against the G2 that had basically nothing to play for at that point. I just don't think that when everything is equal that this team is going to beat any of the teams above them. And then we have NRG Complexity. I also think that by this point in the tournament, NRG is going to be on. I think they will be clicking. I don't think that I see the synergy from Complexity yet. I think they're still figuring out a little bit exactly how they want to play. I think it's a little bit shaky at times. I think especially from Diaz, I think he'll get there. But I think right now, early in the season, just from what I've seen of Diaz, he looks a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit unsure at times. He's got the talent. He'll get there if they're coaching well and he's learning. He'll get there. But I don't think he's going to have it here against NRG. I don't think Complexity is going to take it against NRG. I'm going to take them 4-1 for NRG. That means we've got Omelette Space Station and Complexity 9 lives here in the lower quarters. I like this Complexity team over top of 9 lives. I had them up here in the best of 5. I still have them here in a best of 7. I think that this probably is a little bit less close. I think they take that one 4-1. Omelette Space Station. Again, I think this Omelette team will beat everybody below them and nobody above them. I would put Space Station above Omelette. I would take Space Station in a 4-2 here. That leaves our top 4. So top 4 in NA right now. This lines up with what I would have had as the top 4 coming into the season, which would have been NRG, Ultimates, Complexity, and Space Station. I think a lot of these other teams are in here fighting for this 4th spot. And given what I've seen from Complexity as well thus far in the season, I actually think the fight is for that 3 and 4 spot. In this case, I think Gen G got incredibly unlucky with this bracket. I think they should be in this kind of mix, but this is going to be a rough result to come back from in just 2 more events. But this does line up roughly with what I could see being a feasible top 4 that NA sends to the major. And a solid bracket too. I would actually say that this kind of seeds out 1-4 and 2-3. NRG being my 1, of course. NRG Space Station. Gosh. This really depends to me on how NRG comes in on this day. These matches are all on Sunday, including these lower quarterfinal matches. So this match against Complexity would have happened Saturday. Do I think that their form will be that different between Saturday and Sunday? No, I don't. I do think that Space Station could come out swinging. But I do think that we've seen Space Station have trouble closing out series in the past. And I think against a team like NRG that's going to be able to really adapt, kind of lock them down, I do think that NRG won't have a lot of trouble kind of rallying. And I think that Space Station take the first 2 and NRG take the next 4 in this one to go to the grand finals. Which means Ultimate's Complexity. Who's playing NRG in the grand finals? I'm going to be boring. I really want to pick Complexity in this matchup, but I just... Unless we see something different from the Ultimates that says, man, this team's kind of shaky. Yeah, I don't believe in them losing this match to Complexity. I think it could be close. I think that CRR has the ability to really kind of pull Complexity nearly to the grand finals, I think. I think alongside 2 very talented players in Raisbull and Diaz. I think CRR is actually the main guy on this team. From what I've seen of the form he's in, I would say he's up there. But it's the grand finals that probably anybody would have picked coming into this. It's Ultimates NRG, just as it was Carmine Corp and Vitality for the EU Open. We've got Ultimates NRG. I think that this is, it's going to be cliche, but man, we see these patterns. We see these patterns every time, right? Teams that stick over this extended offseason struggle. They struggle. Basically every year. They struggle every year. I don't love the form that NRG is coming into this major, or this Open with. And I think they lose this one. I think it's actually probably similarly not close. I do think they'll take a game, but I actually have the Ultimates as our NA Open 1 champions. I think this team is incredibly solid. I think that if you have another team where First Killer can be essentially just basically running point for you and creating chances for his teammates. And his teammates are Chronic and LJ. I'm going to say that again. His teammates are Chronic and LJ. The people he's creating opportunities for are Chronic and LJ. Think about that. You have First Killer creating space for Chronic and LJ. I think this team is insane. I think their one drawback right now is that they don't have the experience together in the synergy. But I think we've seen time and time again that that doesn't necessarily matter if the team works. And I think this team works. I have them 4-1 over NRG in the finals, taking first NA Open 1. What do you think? Of course, again, really wanted to throw this out here. I do this in my head or by myself. Basically for every Open, I figured why not record it and throw it up. So let me know what you think. Drop a comment, follow if you want. Really just wanted to put something out to also be a little bit more a part of this community, because I really love the Rocket League community. I think we're in a weird spot right now. I'm not gonna dwell or tangent on it, of course, but just all the change, especially over the last couple of years. I don't know, just felt like I wanted to add something to it in my own way by doing a prediction video that just about everybody else has done. But anyways, wanted to add to the discourse. So hopefully you do as well. Again, comment, follow, reply, let me know where I'm being dumb, This is what I have for NA Open 1 predictions.